Welcome to Drum Corps Central, a podcast. I am a 13-year-old Drum Corps superfan who loves all forms of the marching arts. Thanks for watching the podcast today. There will be an almost daily episode of this podcast recapping the previous night's Drum Corps scores and looking ahead. Today is Monday, July 30th, 2018. Just under 2 weeks left until we crown a champion for the 2018 Summer Tour. Vanguard currently in the lead in both basically World Class and Open Class. Santa Clara Vanguard in World Class, Vanguard Cadets in Open Class. I'll get to the leaderboards, a look at last night's scores, and a look ahead to tonight. 3 big shows on the schedule for DCI tonight. So, first up last night, we had Nate beat in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. You could have watched this one live on Flow Marching. Vanguard comes out on top at 93.75. The scores were kept relatively low. Scores either improved by just a few tenths or went down by a few tenths to a few points. Vanguard, though, really, if you look at what they've been doing over the past few days, the judges rocketed them up so quickly up until like San Antonio that they couldn't go up any farther. They were already at like a 92. They've gained like 2 points in a week. Meanwhile, some corps a little further back are gaining like 5 or 6 points. That's just because if the judges put Vanguard at 95 now, what are they going to do come Allentown and then come Indy? Are they going to be at like a 99? I mean, you could only go to 100. So I think that Vanguard right now, the judges are holding back a little, and I think definitely they'll be at a 95-96 by Allentown this weekend, and then by championships, they could be at least where the trend is going right now. It sure looks like Vanguard has a legitimate shot at potentially being the first corps to break into the 99s, I think, since the Blue Devils did in 2014 with Fellini-esque. Widely known as, especially on the score chart, as the greatest show in Drum Corps history. Blue Devils second here, 93.175. Again, a few tenths behind Vanguard, not too far back that the Blue Devils can't win, but not right there on Vanguard, like a tenth back, a few tenths, like 6 tenths back. The Bluecoat score, I don't know if the Bluecoats, I think it's the Bluecoat score. The Bluecoat score surprises me. It's 91.625. I don't understand. They were right at the Blue Devils. They had, I think, the best draw at this one. What happened there? I don't know what happened with the Bluecoats. Crown catches them. They're less than a tenth away now. I'm sorry, but in my personal opinion, Crown is nowhere near the Bluecoats. The Bluecoats have messed around with that show a ton in the past few weeks. They had the same show for 4 weeks, and then they finally changed it. I think those changes are for the better, but the score charts were showing them, but now all of a sudden they are in trouble. They could fall down the 4th. I said that the Bluecoats, I thought the Bluecoats would fall down the 4th. I've said that all season, but I did not think that. Like, I thought that coming into like San Antonio, after San Antonio, I did not think that Crown had any shot. That first half of that show is magnificent. That could be a title contender. The second half of that show, I don't know. What's that have to do with the Beast? What's the first half even have to do with the Beast? And the visual is work in progress. I'll say that. I think the Bluecoats should be much closer to the Blue Devils. But if the judges see it as Crown closer to the Bluecoats, then that is what it will be. Boston 5th, they pull away from the Cavaliers, a 90.375 for Boston, and 88.925 for the Cavaliers. Cadets 85.7, they did march with 16 holes due to sickness in the corps. Hope they feel better soon and can put on great shows for the rest of this season. I don't know if that has any impact because the judges are taught to look past some things, such as holes in the drill. They probably would be up at like an 86 maybe. I mean, that Cavaliers score seems really, really low. I mean, the cadets being only, I mean, if you think of it with the 16 people in and you say that's like an 86, I don't know. The scores at this one are quite interesting, I'll put it that way. And then Phantom at 83.45. But then again, I like to see and I think many of Drum Corps' fan base like to see this mix up of scores night in and night out, that there's never a clear favorite. I mean, there is a clear favorite in Vanguard, I guess. But I think we all like to know that the judges aren't just looking at the recaps. Even if they are, I think we all like to get a good feel when there's a show like this, when stuff is messed up and there is a corps that could be 5 points ahead of another one night and 2 the next. So, let's take a look at the scoring recap for Night Beat last night. So here we have General Effect and Visual. As I've said all season, Vanguard, you're not going to stop them in General Effect. When you have 2, you're definitely not going to stop them. When you have the 4 General Effect judges, probably one of them will put like the Blue Devils or Bluecoats first. But really, the general consensus in General Effect through the General Effect judges, I think that we see every day on the recap, Vanguard is a clear favorite. 37-8 for them. 37-4-5 for the Blue Devils. And second, they go all 2s. General Effect could be where the Bluecoats lost ground to Crown, because Crown tied them. I just want to remind you also, Vanguard 37-8, that's out of 40. That is, I mean, it's not as impressive as if they had that at like Mesquite last week, but still, that's a pretty high score. They'll probably be in the 39s in Indy. As I said, the Bluecoats probably did get hurt in General Effect. There could be some stuff that they are just working out right now in that corps and with that production, because that show, I don't think, I mean, they're putting some finishing touches on it, but I don't think that, I think the sloppiness, I guess, in terms of I mean, I don't know if it's visual or music or what it is, but there's just some sloppiness in that show to I think to the effect of that they're adding a lot of stuff to that show really, really quickly. I think that's I think that's what's kind of hurting them right now. So I think over the next 2 weeks, we will see them rebound, and I think that they will we'll take a shot at the Blue Devils and see if they can get silver or even gold. Who knows at this point. Crown, so good caption, I think, for them in General Effect, within a point of Vanguard. Boston there in 5th, Cavaliers 7th, Cavaliers 6th, Cadets 7th, Phantom 8th. Go over to Visual, over in Color Card, Blue Devils, they do well there, 18-6 to Boston's, actually, 18-4-5. Pretty close there. Vanguard goes 3rd, Bluecoats 4th, Crown 5th. And this is one of those areas where it's not going to matter come Indy if Boston's winning Color Guard or whatever. It's going to be how far is Vanguard back from the Blue Devils, and right now it's 0.5 of a point, which is not. I mean, look at that achievement number 5th for Vanguard. You can't do that and stay a point or 2 ahead of your closest competition. That's just not going to happen. Overall visual, that does hurt Vanguard. Blue Devils 27-9-2-5 out of 30. Vanguard's 27-8, Bluecoats 27-3-2-5. I think really what we're seeing is that these judges have to hold these scores back because they might be performing like it's Indy, but where we are in the season, if they give them a 95, they can't move them up this whole week because you cannot go above 100. So I really think that that is taking a toll on these scores. Just the fact that the judges move them up so quickly early and now they're kind of stuck and they can't get them up. I think we'll definitely see that breaking though come Allentown. Music, brass, we've got Crown first, no surprise there, especially with their strong night last night. Vanguard second, just a tenth back. That goes from a half a tenth to a tenth from Atlanta to Winston-Salem. Third, Bluecoats 18-3, Blue Devils fourth. Fifth, Boston, sixth, Cavaliers, seventh, Cadets, eighth, Phantom. Go over percussion, Vanguard first, Blue Devils second. Crown third, fourth Boston, fifth Cavaliers, sixth Bluecoats. That's 9/10 behind Vanguard. Percussion and I think General Effect was the other one they were a little far back on, General Effect, and that could be really where the Bluecoats are getting held back right now. Overall, total for music, Vanguard few tenths over the Blue Devils. They're at 28.15 out of 30. Talk about impressive. Third, you got Crown 27.775. Bluecoats fourth. Boston fifth. Cavaliers sixth. Cadets seventh. Phantom eighth. We didn't just have world-class action in Winston-Salem last night. We also had open and all-age class action here in White Lake, Michigan, and in Oskaloosa, Iowa. This one, White Lake, Michigan, Legends Drum Corps Invitational. If the name didn't give it away, the show was hosted by the Legends. All-age class 1 course, Cincinnati Tradition, 67.75 for them. A reminder, they are not judged on the same scale as the DCI cores are, as you'll see on the recap thing I have up here. They're judged on like a DCI-DCA mix. That's what they're judged on. I think the cores do these shows to get kind of get their show out there, get their name out there, see where they are in terms of like a mix of DCI and DCA, and to have the performance opportunities. I think that those few factors are some of the factors that go into some of these all-age class groups, Governors, CHOP, Cincinnati Tradition, just naming a few that do these shows. I think those are factors that go into them going out and competing as all-age class corps in DCI. Open class Spartan 73.5. They've started to pull away from the Legends. Legends 72.05 last night. 7th Regiment third at this one, 66.3, and Raiders 4th, 58.55. Now these four corps here, these four open class corps, have gone from I think upstate New York, so Glens Falls, to Gloversville, down to Pennsylvania for Johnsonburg and Sheffield, over to Michigan for White Lake. Now tomorrow night, Tuesday the 31st, these guys finally get to join some other corps. Guardian, Southwind, maybe some others are there in Plymouth, Indiana. I don't think that's far from Michigan City. So finally they get to join some other corps though. Let's take a look at the scoring recap for the Legends Drum Corps Invitational last night. So, all-age class, this is what I'm talking about. It's like a mix of DCI and DCA. DCA has like three captions. This has 4. So you got the effect score, the effect communication score, visual score, and the music score judged within those visual effect, music effect, visual communication, music communication. Then you got visual ensemble and color guard, and then brass, music ensemble, and percussion. So not necessarily the easiest of ways to come up with this all-age class system, but whatever. So here you have it. Here's the recap for general effect and visual. These guys finally get to deal with a full panel. I think they've been dealing with a partial panel the past few shows. I'm not sure if they've done a full panel yet, but here it is. General effect, you got the Spartans 6/10 ahead of the Legends there. Go over to color guard. 7th Regiment, look at them. They're finding something. They've got that 2 in color guard achievement. They were all 3s most of this whole mini tour that these guys have been doing. So I think that's a positive sign for 7th Regiment. I think they're going to go up there and they're going to contend for a really good, maybe top 6 spot this year. Color guard Spartans over the Legends by 8/10, and then over in visual, 8/9 there. Yikes. Over in music, you got brass. This is really where the Legends savor something because that visual score kills them. Brass, Legends 15 even, Spartans 14-3. Go over to music analysis. Spartans jump back but by only 0.2, and then over in percussion, 0.5 for the Spartans over Legends. Overall music, they tie. So that is really where the Legends save the show against the Spartans here. 73-5 for the Spartans, 72-05 for the Legends. Third and finally last night, Oskaloosa, Iowa Drum Corps Mid-America. 8 open class scores here out of the 15 that go to championships, so more than half of the championship scores. If you count the other show, the White Lake show, you get 12 of those 15 competing last night. Really one of the most accurate reads we're going to get until open class prelims in just a week from now. Oh, has the summer flew by. Already championship week next week. How about that? This is the last week of normal local shows. Wow. Anyway, so this is one of the closest things you're going to get to an open class regional here. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 more shows that might have 8 or 9, but this is really one of the closest you're going to get to an open class regional, which I still think is an idea DCI has to think about, because these corps should have the exact capabilities and all that world-class corps have, but by doing it in a modified schedule, I think that they should be able to have a regional or 2, like maybe put one this past weekend when all the corps are starting to go into the Midwest, maybe this past Saturday or last night, put it in Oskaloosa maybe, or put it like today or midweek, where maybe they put them in a bigger stadium in the Midwest. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head that wouldn't be like an NFL stadium, but that wouldn't be like a high school stadium, and like a college stadium, like if you follow NCAA football, FCS school. So I think that's definitely a really good idea that DCI should have. Anyway, open class, Vanguard Cadet 76 even, Blue Devils B 74-9-5. Blue Devils B does close that gap. I think Vanguard Cadets are still kind of a favorite here. Gold, they're in third. It sure looks like, other than maybe the Spartans or Legends, when they mix in with these guys, that Vanguard Cadets is pulling away, and so is Blue Devils B, and somebody's going to have to make a run if they are, because Gold, I thought they'd have a chance. They just have not been able to put all the pieces together and are 6 points below Vanguard Cadets. Speaking of Gold, 70.4, Guardians 4 points back. It wasn't like that in Denver. That's surprising. 8.5 above Louisiana Stars, 66.85 to 66 even for Louisiana Stars. 63.3 for Southwind. River City Rhythm, I knew they'd close that gap, 62.75. And Colt Cadets 58.9 to round out the competition there. Let's take a look at the scoring recap for Drum Corps Mid-America. So here we have the general effect and visual recaps for these corps. Vanguard Cadets, they go clean sweep over general effect and visual, 6/10 in general effect, 4/10 in visual. Surprising, though, because Blue Devils B, when these guys started their tour out in California, well, started this second half of tour really like July 20th area, Blue Devils B was ahead of Vanguard Cadets in color card and were really close in visual. So that's surprising there. Gold, other than that 4 in visual analysis and another 4 in general effect 1 performance, pretty straightforward there for third. Very, very, very just all over the place from Guardians on down, especially that color guard score. Whoa! That's an 11-3 for the Guardians. Yikes. In color guard. Music, brass, we've got Blue Devils B ahead, so I think that it's turned, and I think now Blue Devils B is gaining in music, where they were ahead in visual before. I think they flipped. Brass, they're ahead by 2/10, music analysis only down by 2/10, and only down by 1/10 in percussion. So really, I think that Blue Devils B is not out of the contention yet for an open class championship. Now, I will speak I'll say right now that I have not seen any of these shows. The only show I had seen here is Guardians, and I actually saw Guardians, River City Rhythm, Colt Cadets. River City Rhythm and Colt Cadets were so far back, though, like St. Louis. I don't remember them. And Guardians, they were San Antonio, so we got to see what they had. I think that I just like the factor that we aren't seeing open class every night. I would like Flow Marching to show a broadcast or two of open class, but I just like that because when they do get to Michigan City, it's just it's nice to not know what's coming at you, because like in world class, you know what Vanguard show is, you know what Blue Devil show is, you know what Blue Coats show is. It's nice to not know what Vanguard Cadets, Blue Devils, B, and Gold have for you, other than a really good show. And a reminder, with a week left, Vanguard Cadets, they scored an 80, somewhere sub 80 last year. So they're about where they were last year, maybe a little below, but not far. And that was one of the best open class shows I had ever seen last year in Michigan City. So now let's take a look at the DCI World Class Leaderboard for this morning. So every single corps has a show tonight except 3. Santa Clara Vanguard, they return action, a huge show in Chester on Thursday. Blue Devils in Annapolis tomorrow night. Same for the Cadets, home show for them. So, really, we get everybody tonight, except those 3. So I think tonight will be a good, clear read. Last night, really, any of these scores of those top scores from last night are really weird. I mean, Phantom, I don't think is 2 tenths into finals. I would not say that. I mean, the chaos around that being a possibility, with like the factor of like who could make it if Phantom and the Crossmen fell out. Other than that, like, I don't think Phantom is going to fall out of finals. They might, but I don't think they are. So the scores last night, I mean, Blue Stars and Blue Knights both ahead of the Cadets by pretty big margins. I don't think that's reasonable. So I think that, I think last night's scores, the top half were about where they should be, and the bottom half was way too low, like from Cavaliers, Cadets, Phantom. Cadets probably because of all the holes that probably impacted that, but Phantom and Cavaliers were just way too low last night. Let's take a look at the DCI Open Class leaderboard for this morning. So, Vanguard Cadets up at the top, 105 above Blue Devils B. Blue Devils B, 1.05 down. Spartans, with that score last night, just 2.5 behind Vanguard Cadets. Legends still within that 4-point range, 3.95. They're barely holding on. I think that Vanguard Cadets right now have the upper hand. Blue Devils B is right there, and I think the Spartans have a really good shot at getting bronze and potentially getting silver, maybe even gold. Down at the bubble, we got to see Colt Cadets and Raiders both in action last night, but at 2 separate shows. Margin at finals now is 0.35. The only 3 corps we have not seen perform in quite a while, and really that we didn't see perform last night. Golden Empire returned to action Cedar Rapids on Friday. Heatwave return to actions on Cedar Rapids on Friday, and Shadow return to action in East Troy on Wednesday. So, I mean, you see Heatwave and Shadow both out. That could change for Colt Cadets, Raiders. I think River City Rhythm, I mean, the margin from 11th to 12th is like 6th to 7th in world class. It's like they're not going to fall, but they're not going to gain. I really thought River City Rhythm really had a lot more in them. I really thought that they could get up to the 8th, 7th range, but it doesn't look like that. Oh, we get to see Guardians and 7th Regiment, same show site tomorrow night. That should be interesting. Plymouth and Southwind. 7th Regiment, you see Guardians of Louisiana Stars at the same show, but 7th Regiment not there. They go right in the middle of them both. Now let's take a look at tonight's shows for Monday, July 30th, 2018. First up tonight, Charleston, West Virginia, drums across the tri-state. A few cores at this one, all times Eastern Time, 7:30 Welcome National Anthem, 7:38 Oregon Crusaders, 7:55 Troopers, 8:12 Madison Scouts. 8:29 there will be a 30-minute intermission, 8:59 the Colts, 9:16 Blue Stars, 9:33 Phantom Regiment. What to watch for here? How far can the Blue Stars pull away from Phantom, and what impact will that have on the leaderboard with all those cores performing tonight? Mandarins and all them at other shows, I think that will have an impact on what happens on the leaderboard. Colts, can they continue to pull away from Madison? Can Madison pull away from the Troopers, or will the Troopers continue to gain on them? And Oregon Crusaders, can you gain a few points, maybe get up to somewhere near 75? A few notes for this one. University of Charleston Stadium in Charleston, West Virginia. Weather forecast for this one throughout the day, really for all three of these shows tonight. They're all basically in the same area, West Virginia, Virginia, and Ohio. You could just draw a circle around them, basically. There are showers, storms expected throughout the whole day, and some even at showtime. This one, I think, looks the best in the terms of weather. 81 around start time, going down to mid-70s by the time the show finishes. But as I said, threat of showers, storms throughout the day and after the show. So other than that, it looks like it should be a pretty good night in Charleston. Second, Salem, Virginia, the Summer Music Games of Southwest Virginia. All times Eastern Time here as well. They're all Eastern Time because all these cores now are on the East Coast or near it, if you consider West Virginia on the East Coast. 7 o'clock Welcome National Anthem, 7:15 Jersey Surf, 7:32 Pioneer, 7:49 Genesis, 8:06 Pacific Crest, 8:23 an intermission. 30 minutes that intermission is. Action resumes at 8:53 with the Mandarins, 9:10 Crossmen, 9:27 Boston Crusaders, 9:44 Carolina Crown, 10:01 there will be an encore. I'm assuming it's probably by Crown, and then 10:11 scores will be announced or somewhere around there. What to watch for here? Can Boston continue to catch Crown? That could be a huge storyline over the last few weeks. Crossmen and Mandarins. Mandarins need to continue to pull away. They want to be ahead of where Phantom is in Charleston tonight. Genesis, again, comparing two different shows. Genesis would want to be ahead of the Oregon Crusaders. Jersey Surf's really by themselves, Pioneer and Pacific Crest. I mean, we can see what the gap is between Genesis and Pacific Crest, but I don't think it means anything. Few notes for the Summer Music Games of Southwest Virginia, Salem Stadium in Salem, Virginia. If you're, again, familiar with college football, the Division III NCAA championship is held in Salem each year. So that's just my little tidbit of trivia for this one here. So weather forecast for this one starts off okay. But by 8 o'clock, there's a threat of thunderstorms. 9, 10 o'clock, cloudy. If this one would get delayed, maybe it starts at 7 and then maybe delay it for 30 minutes, an hour. It does look like it could get up and running, as you can see here, 9, 10 o'clock. And it doesn't look like there is any immediate threat of storms or rain around 11. So I think we can get this Salem show in. And lastly tonight, Centerville, Ohio, Soaring Sounds, one of the legendary shows on the DCI tour. There's a few. This is one of them. All times Eastern Time here as well. 7 o'clock, Welcome to National Anthem. 7:10, All Age Class Cincinnati Tradition from Cincinnati, Ohio. Again, Cincinnati Tradition. They went from around the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area in Peckville, Pennsylvania on Saturday, went up to White Lake, Michigan for a DCI show, and then back down to Centerville, Ohio for this kind of home show for them. So they've had quite the trips the past few days. 7:27, we get the season debut of International Class U-Ball from Dordrecht, the Netherlands. They have come to the United States quite a few times. I'm still waiting. I think we'll get to know tonight if they're competing as an open class corps or as an international class corps. I know that if they make semifinals, I think the rule is that it would go to 26 then. That's 25, so the top 25 would advance the U.S. corps, and then they would just get another berth in there. I think U-Ball, they've got good uniforms at least. I don't know what that means for their show. Vincent, the Beauty of Madness. I think it's about Vincent van Gogh, an artist. So I think that they will have a good show in store this season. They go here to Centerville, then they'll be around the Midwest in these all open class corps shows this next week, leading into Michigan City and then in Indianapolis. 7:44 Seattle Cascades, 8:01 Music City. 8:18 there'll be a 30-minute intermission. 8:48 the Academy. 9:05 Spirit of Atlanta. 9:22 the Blue Knights. 9:39 the Cavaliers. 9:56 the Bluecoats. 10:13 there will be an encore, either probably by Cavaliers or Bluecoats, probably the Bluecoats, and then 10:30 scores announced. What to watch for here, Bluecoats? They really need to make up some ground. Now, Vanguard and Blue Devils don't have a show tonight. If I'm the Bluecoats, I want to go to the top or potentially knock off where Crown is at their show. Cavaliers, same thing for them compared to other shows. Blue Knights are about by themselves. Spirit and Academy, that could be a big battle. And then Music City, definitely want to pull away from Seattle Cascades if you're them. U-Ball, I believe they are judged on DCI judging sheets, unlike Cincinnati Tradition. So, a few notes for this one. Centerville High School Steam, Centerville, Ohio, the Centerville Elks. This is a legendary Bands of America band, the Centerville Jazz Band. So, they, as I said, legendary event, probably in large part due to the help of the band and everything there. Weather for this one. So, as I said, Charleston looks okay. Salem looks like they could get it up and running. Centerville, 7, 8 o'clock looks good. Maybe they could push this one up. I can't remember a show, though, when they would, start early is what I mean. I think that's pushing it up. I think that if they push this one up to 6, maybe they can get it in, cancel intermission, whatever there. But if they do this show as scheduled, 9, 10 o'clock thunderstorms does not look like every corps will get to perform in here, because DCI is not going to postpone a show for 2 hours and then start again at 11. These corps have to go places. Some of these have to go. There might be 1 or 2 that have to go to Annapolis, or I don't know if there's even another world-class show tomorrow night. But these corps do have to go, so that could be a factor in what happens at this show. Definitely how I read these today. Charleston, best weather. Salem, second best. Maybe they could delay it just half an hour. But Centerville, not looking too good. Lastly today, a few things. Make sure to check out drumcorpscentral.weebly.com for all your latest updates from the DCI and DCA summer tours. Scores, schedules, leaderboards, and more can all be found on my own personal website about all things drum corps, drumcorpscentral.weebly.com. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DrumCorpsGeek and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Drum Corps Central. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Drum Corps Central, a podcast. Thank you for watching. Good luck to all performing corps and members tonight in Centerville, Salem, and Charleston.